Welcome to In the Mix, a DJ series. I'm your host, DJ RunDat. I'm on a mission to inspire and support you in reaching your goals in life and business. Do you want to know the secrets to growing a profitable DJ business? Tune in to hear real-life stories from DJs across the globe who have grown successful DJ businesses. Hi, welcome to In the Mix, a DJ series. I'm your host, DJ RunDat. Today, I have a very special guest. I will be interviewing David Kurtz. Welcome.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, it's been crazy during this COVID stuff, but we're making do here in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, good, right? We're still here.
That's exactly it. The DJs that got vinyl in their blood, I think, are making do, is what I would like to say, is what's happening.
Yeah, you've been at it for a long time. How did you get started in DJing?
Well, I'll just say this. It started off as a kind of a vendetta against a DJ that I was seeing DJing during middle school. I went up to the DJ and asked if he would play a song, and he didn't play my request. So I said, I'm going to be the DJ that plays requests. I'm going to take care of everybody. And that was, to give you an idea of when that was late 70s. And the big song was Last Dance by Donna Summer at that point. So I caught the disease pretty early.
Yeah, well, that was a good time for music. I mean, 70s and 80s were really rocking it out. I mean, I'm an 80s baby. My dad had records. I mean, I love all that music to this day.
There you go. There's a lot out there. I've been really diving deep into any place I can find extended mixes, the original extended mixes of certain songs that you couldn't find. I found a very rare mix of Ha's Take on Me, which is like 8 minutes long, but I found it on a CD compilation. I was just overjoyed, kind of thing.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, I always at the thrift stores check for little mixes just like that with the eras.
There you go.
Yep. So when you got started, did you have a mentor?
I did not. I actually went through trial and error, learning about what everything was. It took me, I didn't understand. All I knew is the DJ I did see had this huge soundboard and he had 2 turntables, and I thought that's what you needed. I didn't realize at the time I didn't realize about techniques, really. I don't think at that point had the 1200s as of yet, but through trial and error, we took home stereos, put them together, we blew up amplifiers, we killed speakers along the way during that time. And you trial and error. I finally went to Radio Shack and got my first little mixer. I got 2 turntables with direct drive belts that anytime the song got over, the needle would automatically pick up and pull back, and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
And, I'm glad I went through what I went through to learn everything there was to know, because nowadays, we have mentors all over the place, but back then, you trial and error. I did have a couple guys that did start to train me by a group. The name of the DJ group is, I think, called Spinning Image, and I was getting into roller skating, so I wound up, my first real paying job at 17 was a DJ at a roller skating rink in Newington, New Hampshire, called the Great Fox Roller Skating Rink. And that's what I learned about what they called slip disc and everything else, and messing around with music.
Yeah, how fun. That's actually on my list of gigs I want to do that I have not gotten to do yet, is a roller rink party.
Well, I will tell you that there's when I transitioned from a roller skating DJ to a DJ, a club DJ and a wedding DJ, I had a lot to relearn, because the thing is, with roller skating, you never lose a crowd. They're always on the roller skate, they're always there. So you don't have the fear of like what we have when we lose a crowd during a dance time. They're always going around in circles, so you don't have that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's interesting. Yeah, I did a lot when I was starting into more like private events. I did a lot with the kids, and they don't really dance. They run around in circles. I guess it's a little similar.
Right. And then they bombard you with requests.
Yeah, they do. They do. And I'm pretty good about the requests because I do like to try to make everybody happy. I do filter them out and um often they'll tip me for the request, but like this is in the club, not the school dances.
Right,
But
right, 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 right.
sometimes I'm like, are you serious? I've definitely had some very strange requests for some private corporate like parties, and I'm going, let me learn a little bit more about this company. Like, what kind of company? Are they serious? Do they really want that? Yeah.
We get hired by all, that's the one thing I have learned doing private parties and weddings is what we have to learn is who they are and what their favorite hits are. I mean, I love it when people say, you're the DJ, you know what to do. Yes, but you need to take, if you're not like, if I'm dealing with the whole Spanish crowd, I'm not going to be playing like rave music. I'll probably be doing like, bachatas and things of that nature. So it's, you gotta feel out your clientele and your client to know what direction and what they jam to.
Yeah, exactly. I was on a sales call this morning and I said, it's really all about what you want. Like, do you want to do all these special events at your wedding? Like, what music you want? And like, fortunately, we have so much technology now
Yeah,
that, we have a custom app that my clients can go pick their own songs and preview music from YouTube
yeah.
and Spotify. And they're like, wow, that's really cool. They're like, we were talking to this other DJ and he said we needed to send him a disc. And I was like, wow. I was like, most computers don't even have a disk drive anymore.
Well, let me ask you this. We use DJ Intelligence out here, which obviously has exactly what you've just said. It has the whole list of music, and then it'll tap you over into Spotify and to YouTube. Is that the same? Do you have is that the one you're using, or what do you use?
No, I have Vibo and
Okay.
I subscribe to Vibo, and I actually went to your website today. It's very nice. And I explored some features you had that I've been wanting to add to mine. I'm always updating and upgrading my website and every aspect of my business as I grow
Right.
and learn. And yeah, I noticed like you had a scheduler, like a calendar link, and you had the portal for customers to client portal and all of that. So
Yeah.
very cool.
Well, I'll be more than happy at another point to go over what we got if I can help you out in any which way.
Wonderful. Thank you. So how has your 2020 been?
I've rescheduled close to 130 plus weddings. I've got 13 to 14 DJs. We're in the middle of still finding more guys and girls that want to play ball in our sandbox kind of thing. We've had to reinvent the wheel because the governor has handed down the no congregating and no dancing idea. So we're still allowed to do weddings and have like the first dance and the father-daughter and so forth. But instead of dance time, now we're doing trivia, we're, karaoke, we're looking at those options. We actually have a thing called tune teasers that we do with bars now, where we get a couple guys that will go out, and it's all COVID friendly. It's kind of cool. We've got it set up with a Google Text, so people text their answers into the DJ that is there, and they get a spreadsheet they design that they have in front of them. They ask all the fun musical questions and play snippets and things like that. But yeah, it's been a very interesting situation of trying to find out how to keep people entertained.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've talked to a lot of DJs and I'm, fascinated by the creativity coming out of this time, when you actually are slowing down and got some time to actually think, not just think, okay, what's the next gig? What are the logistics? What's the music? Who's working it? What do I need? All that, now we're like, hmm.
Well, what I think has happened, which is kind of a great thing, is I think you'll agree with me on this. There is a certain point when weddings just have all the same thing all the time. And what's happened now is now we've had to think outside the box. So we've given ourselves different things we can do other than the standard norm. If somebody because you always get everybody want to say, I'm not a traditional. The new tradition is non-tradition, you know, like when you do certain things during the night. But now that we're teaching ourselves how to keep a crowd more, like when you're dealing with maybe a family reunion kind of wedding versus a club wedding, as I would like to say, we actually have new tools to pull from to really help ourselves be more in the situation without being cheesy.
Wow, I love that. I hadn't really thought about that because honestly, I only did a handful of weddings. I had to travel pretty far to do them to accommodate my couples who were supposed to get married right in my neighborhood, but everything changed. So that's really fascinating to think, you know, a lot of the weddings in my area are a lot smaller. Our numbers are getting cut down, and you're thinking, you know, your family is your priority, and that might not usually be your top dancing crowd in a wedding. Usually, I would say for me and my experiences is a lot of the younger people that create the dance party, and the kids are usually the first ones on the dance floors, the little tinies and stuff. So,
Right.
so yeah, getting creative how to entertain all the guests.
You know, there's a science to it, you know, just like in the bars, you know, when you're in a bar, your focus is to generate the dance floor, to cycle it on and off. So they're going to the bar and buying their drinks and stuff and coming back to the dance floor and how much the bar rings. Even though we think it's all about the dance floor, but the reality is we're there for the attraction, but we've got to help them ring their sales in order for us to maintain our job, kind of thing. So we're kind of in that, you know, unless we're doing a dance party, that we're not, you know, unless it's like a festival or something, which is different altogether. But you know, it's knowing how each thing works that comes into play.
Yeah, for sure. Can you tell me a little bit more about that game you were saying? What'd you call it? The tune teaser?
Tune teasers. Yeah, we have a couple guys that both of them were in radio, and one was Kurt Mueller, and the other gentleman is Mike Forrest, and they are really going after this in a really great way. They'll develop the questions, and we'll have each. When people come to the bar, then they have every table as its own team. They all have this card with a text that they text in their answers and so forth, and the DJs will use the microphone to like say, okay, they'll play a part of a song in the first person that gets that song, and then they go to a bonus round and so forth. But they're taking the whole name that tune and trivia thing to the next level to have fun with it.
Oh, wow.
So, and then also they're running into the problem that when you're a DJ, what you think is easy to you for a song is not easy to the average person because they're not going to know, you know.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, what's interesting is when you're looking at why certain things pop back up, for instance, because of Marvel bringing in all the old music, people have been coming up and asking for all that old music. You're like, where are people hearing this stuff? You know, the last thing I was thinking, Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye became like a really big hit in recent years. And that's because it's in the first part of like, I think volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. So, or even Redbone's Come and Get Your Love. It's like, what, you know, and that's what always gets to me is trying to figure out where these hidden gems are coming back. Even with the movie Boogie Nights, when that came back, they brought in all that old 70s music that people, you know, were jamming to. But that's where our guys get their information from to create tune teasers to have fun with it. Then the bar is obviously throwing a gift card for repeat business later and stuff like that. So it's a really cool idea.
That's really cool. And that's something that I realized was that I don't watch a lot of TV or movies, but my occasionally maybe a Disney movie with my son, but like the soundtracks of movies, really popular movies, those songs are gonna get more popular. So you're bringing that up, and so yeah, that's like I think it would be a good thing in the record pools. I don't know if they have it, but to have a section like the soundtrack songs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, think about it. You can't trust you. I'm not going to say you can't trust Billboard, but when you are looking at the Billboard charts today, like for instance, #1 obviously was Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You." That popped back up, but that pop backs up every year. So you've got that, you know, those things to look at. And even on iTunes, looking at trends there. So you're kind of like having to go back and forth between all the whatever charts that are out there to get a better idea of what's happening now, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like knowing your audience goes really deep of like, you know, the age group and, you know, where are they hanging out and what are they watching and what are, you know, what social media platforms, like, are they TikTokers? Then you're going to want to
Yep.
know the hot TikTok songs. It just, yeah, runs really deep. And it reminded me of, there used to be this game, an app I had on my phone, and it was like that, like a name that tune. And it was super fun to play, and you can go into the different genres, and I'm a reggae dancehall girl, and I remember just being in there with one of my other reggae dancehall friends, and it was just like getting all competitive, like, and you know, how fast can you name that tune? And it makes me want to look it up and find that, because it was fun.
Well, think about it. Think about how much more fun you could have if you decide, if you needed something to pull from stuff like that, because that will that reinvents ourselves
Yeah.
after a while.
Yeah. What other games have been popular?
Well, let me see. We've explored a couple ideas, obviously, trivia based off of the brides and grooms, where they'll say, "How well do you know to the couple?" We have couples that actually want to run the trivia. We've got, you know, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, I've even thought about doing designated games like, you know, with giant Jenga, you could have two designated people that would only be playing the game, and everybody else would tell that person how to pull the blocks out and things of that nature. We've had one couple that I talked to that are in the middle of trying to figure it out, but they're thinking about having all their friends bring their video games and having multiple TVs in the room and stuff. You know what? Hey, let's have some fun with it. Let's think outside the box. I mean, yeah, do I want to dance floor? Yes, that's what my life has been all about from day one. I mean, you know, on average, I'm doing about 150 weddings plus a year. Up until the pandemic, I was DJing at least 5 or 6 nights a week, between the bar work and everything else.
Wow.
I'm going to be 56 next month, and I've always said this: I'm not the best, I'm not the worst, but I'm still working. So be careful on who you criticize, because some of us just do a nice job for folks, and we keep the ball rolling. You know,
Yeah.
my DJ handle that was given to me during my drinking days was Dangerous Dave, and that's kind of stuck with me ever since. So.
Oh boy. Dangerous Dave. That's
I'll
great.
just say that's a story left for a not on interview situation.
So, you have a pretty big team, pretty big company. When you were first expanding into adding to the team, do you have any tips on that? Because I'm at that point right now. I'm growing. I've added 2 DJs to my team because all the reschedules and getting double bookings, and I've always had one DJ, she's like a best friend. So in my corner, you know, to help me, like, it's good to have some emergency backup. And I think now we need like plan A, B, and C. So that's why I'm adding two women to my team.
Well, and you know, the way, and you have to think that way. I mean, what happened to me is all my guys, when I was thinking about what to do, as one person, I can't do every wedding out there. You can only do one wedding at a time. If I want to grow and expand my brand and to really reach out, I also have to realize that I got to put my ego aside to realize that there are a lot of great DJs out there. And, you know, a lot of times you can have most of the time when you are dealing with new DJs or DJs that know how to mix, they don't always understand the planning portion. So that's what I've discovered, is working with them like that. But the idea was this: I've noticed it was happening with radio. There were a lot of guys that I knew that were no longer working because radio was becoming XM, you know, and people were getting cut. They were losing their jobs. And I said to myself, what can I do to help keep them alive and working and being passionate about what they do? And I got a venue or two that started asking me about, you know, can you handle all our contracts we send you and so forth. And I convinced my business partner, Mark Derenberger, to be a part of this. And the biggest thing that I can give advice on starting a multi-op is I realized for myself, not all my answers are the correct answers. I need somebody that can argue the point with me to make sure that we're doing it the right way. What happens a lot of times when you're growing a company, sometimes you need somebody to maybe argue with a little bit, or who can help you sort through it and realize that, okay, if we're going to grow this company, let's grow it so it works for everybody. So when we're bringing on our DJs, they realize we have an open door policy. They know that what we do, which is really kind of cool, is on Messenger, we have a group where we're all in it. So when we all do our shows, including myself, we always post a picture of what our setup looks like. And then at the end of the night, we put an end of night report out, maybe some comments during the night. And we do that to tell on ourselves, but also to sometimes we go to this venue and we didn't realize that you have to walk down a hall and take an elevator and do another hall. We're actually letting everybody know what's happening at that venue. Like maybe it's like this, we're keeping everybody in the know, and we're sharing our experiences, and there's no fear of anybody losing their job, so to speak. It's all about you're a part of a team. We're all on the team. We have some basic rules to follow, just so we can keep being professional. You follow the rules and we all get along, kind of thing is the way we kind of look at it.
That's great.
I think a lot of times what happens is you've got the head of the company that wants to call all the shots and being overbearing and so forth. That's fine, but when you no longer want to be a part of your company is no longer going to exist. If you want your company to grow, you need to have a good core management group. And then out of that, having your systems in place. Because once those things are in place, then everything else will follow suit. So with the way we introduce our DJs to the client, to the way they work with the client, to the protocols of, the different packages, we have discovered that you gotta, people first impressions, I'm dealing with this age thing right now where I'm quote unquote aging out. A young bride sees me, they say, what does this guy know about my music? Or, it could be anything like that. And so part of what I've been doing to combat that is, one, doing more mixes second on Mixcloud now and so forth. So people can hear that there's more to it than meets the eye. But also in my bio is not, my original bio was very dated. So it's like, what does this guy know about this? So getting into the mix. But I also realized that if I'm going to grow a company and be respectful of my true mission of putting DJs to work, I have to get out of my way. I have to be there for the guys. I have to be able to, we want to be able to help one another and keep it going. So yeah, what it comes down to is a team effort. When you're growing a company, you have to realize that part of the biggest problem is when we become passionate about what we do, sometimes we lose sight of how to keep the business rolling and how to, I want the latest and greatest, you want the latest and greatest, but guess what? We don't have all the money in the world to bring on the latest and greatest equipment all the time. So it's a learning of those things, but we also have to embrace the future of what's happening, compared to where I started on vinyl. I went from vinyl cassettes, 8-tracks and all that, CDs, and I morphed into the whole computer laptop controller thing. Now I run with literally 2 controllers with 2 laptops with a soundboard in between, because of my fear of the laptop, one of them going down during a mix, and I could just go right over to the other one and not lose my situation. But I'm the redundancy king, as I like to say.
So when you're DJing, you actually have both computers running, like open, ready to go. That's smart. Yeah, I actually I try to always have 2 computers with me for weddings, and I do have a second controller I invested in this year, and it's a battery powered. And so if we lose power, I can still rock. And
and it's interesting you bring up the battery power stuff, because now we have, with the battery powered speakers and everything, some of our guys have started using because of ceremonies. Sometimes you get put out in a ceremony where we actually bought a generator. We have one that's runs quiet, but due to the new Bluetooth speakers and the battery powered speakers, Now our guys can actually go somewhere to set up and not have to worry about power, especially in a situation like that.
Yeah, exactly. I have my little battery powered speaker. I keep it with me at my house in my bedroom and I rock out.
That's awesome.
Why not, right? You got to keep the equipment running.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about equipment. The other thing that we learned is make friends with bigger production companies so you can offer more. You don't need to own all the uplighting. You just got to have somebody you can pull from that maybe could just come and set it up, and you just tack on 10% on top of the fee, you know?
Yeah, for sure. In a bigger city, that's definitely something. I'm in a pretty rural area of Northern California. But you know, it's funny you mentioned, I love you know, the group messaging with your team while you guys are out and gigging. That's like communication. You cannot over communicate. If we could just keep, you know, keep communicating. And this is something I'm learning, always learning more about. And I had a nightmare this morning. I had a nightmare where I got to a gig and I made the mistake of not like checking in with the client before. It was just like probably all through email and past communications. I didn't get on the phone with them leading up to the event. I didn't ask the right questions. So I get to this event and it's in Tahoe, Lake Tahoe, and it's snowy and it's wet and there's trees, and I find the event and I park and I have to walk up this big, you know, all this whole area to get to it. I get up there, I see the bride, I see the wedding planner, and I'm like, oh, hi, I'm the DJ. I'm like, how do I get my gear in here? They're like, well, you got to carry it up from the parking lot. And I'm going, oh no, you know, and then I go down to the parking lot and they say, oh, you have to move your car. And then I go move my car and I get lost and I can't find the venue again. And it was a total DJ nightmare. So today when I was talking to this client, you know, potential client, this bride this morning, I had never been to the venue and I was like, just talking logistics, talking it out. I'm like, so are we going to need 2 setups? Like, is it all one area? Do you want music as your guests are arriving? Is the venue going to provide the ceremony sound? Like, all those things are so important. And I've learned through experience, which is how I best learn, how to prepare and, you know, better serve. And also on those sales calls to really show them the value you bring and the amount of work that you're putting into it. Because I've raised my rates every year and it's working.
Well, what's interesting about rates is you always need to keep an eye on the market too. I think that I know we're at a point where we have to consider raising our rates now too. But the other thing we have going on is we have to look at the unemployment situation right now. We literally have had people cancel because they don't have the money. And and this is what I thought about. That's why we have 3 packages listed on our site, but we also have lower packages too with less equipment and so forth. It's really interesting because I have looked at some guys in the market and I'm looking at what they're charging. I'm going like, I know, and not to be mean about this, but I know DJs that are better than me that can outspend this other guy, and he's charging like I can't figure out why are you charging that amount of money? You know, unfortunately, we all deal with the client that wants to race to the bottom because they forget. And I can't say this enough, and anybody like yourself will understand this, is they forget the fact that the DJ has the power and the microphone in front of them. They're running the show. It doesn't matter how many planners you have and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, we're the ones that's going to say what's going to happen next. It's not, and if you get somebody that doesn't know that, they're not communicating with the photographer, they're not communicating with anybody else. Next thing you know, half the photos that they spent the money on the photographer to take didn't take them, and they're out to lunch. Or maybe the DJ, you know, I think an organized DJ that understands the whole philosophy, the ebb and flow of a wedding or an event, whatever it is, that asks all the right questions. Like you said, you had that nightmare because this stuff goes through your mind. You want to make sure you're prepared. That's just what it is. But if you're racing to the bottom to find the cheapest DJ out there, and you're spending, maybe you're spending $50,000 to $100,000 on your wedding, but you got a $200 DJ, well, sorry.
Yep. I think, you know, once you've become a little more seasoned in it, you also learn your value too. So
That's exactly it.
yeah.
Your market will dictate what the appropriate pricing is. And that's what you want to look at. You want to look at all the different things. And you always want to ask yourself, in my opinion, is okay. Because all our guys, we don't have like with D&M, everybody gets paid the same. So when we're not saying this guy is worth more than this guy, you know, our guys back each other up, no less. So everybody, if this DJ can't do it, they could definitely say, yes, don't worry, Joe is going to take care of you. I know personally how well he does his job. So he's got each other's back. And that's the other thing about your team that you're building, is make sure that maybe their skills may be a little off between each DJ, but if they're good, they're within that frame, they should help each other out and work with each other. And I mean, with COVID, I had one weekend where I had to give 3 of my weddings away because my wife came home with COVID. She's fine now, but I'm not going to risk my clients' lives over me being selfish because I want paid. I mean, I got to be realistic, you know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, it was really about, that team building is so important. And I learned a lot about that with going through a leadership program, and, like, I'm the leader of this ship. Leadership. But, and, with my adding team to my DJs, or to my, adding DJs to my team, it's like, really being just having those conversations of like, how can I best support you? How can I make this flow easy for you? What areas do you need to develop? Like mic skills is something that is developed. I think you're not just maybe there's some naturals, but there's certain skills that are developed over time. We all have our strong points and things that we're really good at, where they're still maybe developing, and you can't expect everybody to be great at everything right away, or any, so it's really fun. Honestly, I'm having really fun, and I'm enjoying this conversation to hear your perspectives and your experience. So thank you.
Well, I think overall, when we're out there, and we want everybody that loves what they do like we do to have fun and to be a part of it. When you're having those conversations, like for instance, I had a situation with one DJ about 5 years ago where it was mentioned through a telephone chain that, well, we can't understand this DJ. So I and the DJ talked, and I popped in one of his weddings to listen, and it was equalization of the actual microphone, bass and treble and all that was part of it. And the other part, he was just talking too fast. Once he slowed down and equalized it out, bang, he's been perfect ever since. But he didn't need somebody yelling at him. He just needed somebody to be able to give him the information so that he understood it. And then the other people, people are going to criticize us always. We're never going to get away from it. We're front and center. We're targets. We know it. I'm just going to do what I can to make sure you all have a great time.
Yeah, feedback is good to get from, your peers and your customers and all of that, because that's how we learn.
I think the other thing too, as a multi-op, is what we are and what you're going into, is don't disillusion yourself by realizing that your DJ won't do their own parties and won't go out and do their own thing. Yeah. It's what you need to do is either give them so much work they don't want to do it for anybody else, or you just make sure that you've got the lay of the land, that everybody's honest. Well, I'll take work from you, but I'm probably going to do some of my other work as well.
Yeah.
Just what we've done is we've just made it so easy for them to say, listen, if you're booking yourself out, you can spend all your marketing dollars and all that doing it yourself, or the 20% that you normally spend, just send it through the company. You're going to make the same amount. It's just we'll handle you won't have to worry about your fees on your credit cards. You won't have to worry about having the stuff we've already designed. You'll have all the tools already. Make it work. Mm-hmm. Our big thing is to make it so easy to say yes, and no being the hard word, that it makes sense. Mm-hmm. My vision and focus is to be a national company. In order to do that, I need to I need strong people in different areas that understand the whole dichotomy of the situation, you know.
Yeah. That's great. Way to dream big. I haven't made it that far. I'm like, I'm adding a couple people, but I live in a very unique small area. So we all go at our own speed, but
You're
good
going to
luck.
have based off of what I've seen on social media, Michelle, with the things that you're doing, you're not going to have any problem growing. Your big thing will just make sure you're organized and you've got all your ducks in a row, because that's really what it is. It seems like you're doing it the right way. You're not trying to tackle 15 DJs at one time. You're making sure that the DJs that are working with you have your vision and your focus in place, and that's what's going to make you a success.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. I've been focusing a lot on vision lately, and I've got a visioning event later, and I did some visioning yesterday. So yeah, it's about being enrolled in your mission and vision yourself, and then enrolling others in it into the right thing. You're going to attract the right people. And I love that you brought that organization to it, because it's about creating the systems and being organized. And I'm working on that. And I've actually built a team and I attract people that are really good at organizing, because it hasn't been my strongest skill set, but like I'm working on it. And by having others on my team that are really good at it, I'm learning too. They're setting me up, and then I learn it and it makes sense, just to organize everything I do with the podcast and all
I'll tell you what will happen is, once you get people to feel they have ownership in your company, because that's what I do. Once somebody feels they have ownership, they won't be asking you for money. They're going to be saying, here's a great idea. This is what we should do. It's not going to be, oh, it's Michelle's company. It's, oh, I'm a part of this.
So have you been doing any live streaming during COVID, or what else have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
I think I think streaming is definitely, if you're a disc jockey and you're out there trying to start up with what you're getting into and so forth, or you just need to keep your skills up, and streaming is a great way to do it. Definitely make sure the platform you're streaming on doesn't have any copyright issues. We use Mixcloud because it says right in there that you're not going to get killed. They're not going to chop your stream up or anything, and it saves your mix after you're done. The nice part about that is you can revisit your mix and listen to it wherever you're at, to see, to give self critiques. So that's what I would say. That's probably the biggest thing right now, especially in our situation, is keep do your mix and do it live. And if you have train wrecks, you have train wrecks. It gives you something to listen to, so you can figure out how you need to improve.
Yeah.
Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of the series and sharing all of your knowledge and experience with us. Yeah.
Yeah, we here at dnmdjentertainment.com out of Columbus, Ohio, in Central Ohio, are excited, and we are getting great reviews and all that craziness. We just got best of Columbus, best of couples on the knot, and things of that nature. So we must be doing something right. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, well, keep it up.
If you know of anybody that wants to get something going with DNM, just tell them to give us a holler.
Okay, awesome. I will. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Go to my website to claim your free gift, a digital copy of my best-selling book, How to Start a DJ Business. www.djrundat.com. Follow me on all social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at DJ RunDat. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. To learn how you can book me or work with me, go to my website or email me at michelle@djrundat.com.